Hello, my people. Welcome back to Story Haven TV. Previously, we saw Amaka, the brave 16-year-old, confront the forbidden tree, a tree the entire village feared. But that was only the beginning. What she found beneath its root would change everything, and not everyone wanted the truth to come to light. Today, in part 2, the stakes are higher. Enemies lurk in the shadows, secrets threatened her family, and a hidden treasure could ignite jealousy, betrayal, and danger like never before. Will Amaka protect the treasure, or will the forces against her succeed? Stay with me, don't blink, because every moment is filled with suspense, emotion, and shocking twists. And as always, subscribe, like, and share this story so you never miss the next chapter from Story Haven. Her hands shook, but she did not stop. Sweat rolled down her face as she dug faster, breathing harder with every strike. For 2 days, she has begged the fallen tree for forgiveness. For 2 days, nothing answered. No sign, no voice, no change, only silence. And now, on this night, something inside her pushed her forward again. I cannot stop now. Not when I have come this far, she said underneath her breath. The wind blew gently across the clearing, rustling drying leaves around the exposed roots of the fallen sacred tree. The place felt heavy, as if the past itself was watching her. Suddenly, a faint memory echoed in her mind. Underneath hides the treasure. Amaka froze. Her breath became shallow. The inscription. It must mean something, she murmured. She tightened her grip on the shovel and dug deeper. Hours passed. The moon climbed higher in the sky. Her hands grew weak, her arms heavy, but she continued. Then, clang! The shovel hit something hard. Amaka dropped to her knees immediately, pushing away the soil with trembling fingers. What is this? She whispered, panic and excitement mixing in her chest. She cleared more dirt. A metal surface appeared. Her breath stopped. She dug around it carefully until a small buried container revealed itself beneath the roots. Her eyes widened in disbelief. No, this cannot be, she whispered. With shaking hands, she forced it open. Inside, something glittering under the moonlight, gold, silver, and dark coals wrapped carefully in cloth. Amaka covered her mouth, tears rushing into her eyes. It is not evil. There was never any cause, she whispered, overwhelmed. Her heart pounded with shock and relief. This, this must belong to my forefathers. Memories of old stories told by elders returned to her. Stories of war, stories of survival, stories of people hiding their wealth during dangerous times. They hid it here during the war for protection, she realized. Amaka fell back onto the ground, breathing hard, tears streaming down her face. I was not wrong. I was not wrong, she cried softly, but suddenly fear returned. What if someone finds out? She whispered. She quickly covered the treasure again, her hands trembling. I must tell someone. Someone I trust, she said, rising weakly to her feet. Before dawn, Amaka ran to her best friend's house. She knocked urgently. Open the door! Please, open! Her friend opened, startled. Amaka? What is wrong? You look frightened. Amaka grabbed her hand, breathing fast. I found it. Found what? The treasure beneath the tree. It is real. Her friend froze. What? I saw gold, silver, and coals. It was hidden long ago, Amaka explained quickly. Her friend's eyes widened. You mean the tree was never evil? Amaka shook her head. Never. Her friend covered her mouth in shock. This changes everything. Yes, Amaka whispered, but we must be careful. Together, they went to Amaka's house. Her mother opened the door slowly, worry already written on her face. Amaka, where have you been? She asked. Amaka stepped inside quietly. Mother, I need to show you something. Her mother studied her face carefully. What have you done? I found the truth, Amaka replied. She explained everything. The digging, the container, the treasure, the silence of the tree. Her mother sat down slowly, stunned. So, the tree was protecting something, not harming anyone, she said softly. Amaka nodded. Her mother looked at her with mixed fear and pride. This must be reported to the king. Amaka had skipped. The king? Yes, her mother said firmly. This discovery belonged to the village's history. Fear rose inside Amaka again. But truth could no longer be hidden. Soon, the king summoned the chiefs. The treasure was brought forward. The village gathered. Shock spread everywhere. There was never any cause, villagers whispered. But among them, one face looked darkened with anger. The chief who had first reported Amaka, his face tightened, his eyes burned with envy. Meanwhile, murmurs began to rise against the chief priest. You said the tree was evil. You lied. Nothing bad happened. The priest's face hardened with silent rage. That night, beneath the cover of darkness, the jealous chief met secretly with the humiliated priest. We cannot let this treasure remain with the girl, the chief said coldly. The priest's eyes narrowed. Then we take it. How? The chief asked. The priest replied quietly. We plan carefully. And in the shadows, their first plan began. The night was thick with silence, but inside the chief priest's hut, whispers moved like snakes in the dark. A single oil lamp flickered between the jealous chief and the priest, casting long, restless shadows on the mud wall. We must act before the whole villagers turns against us, the chief murmured, pacing. That girl has changed everything. The treasure should have been ours. It should have been mine. The priest's voice was low and controlled. Greed will not help you think clearly. We must be patient. Fear is still powerful. People still remember the sacred tree. The chief stopped pacing. Then we use fear? Yes, the priest replied. We make the girl believe the spirits are angry. If she becomes afraid enough, she will abandon the treasure herself. The chief smiled slowly. Good. Let fear do the work. That very night, their first plan began. The wind howled louder than usual around Amaka's house. The moon hid behind thick clouds, and the darkness felt deeper than ever. Inside, Amaka sat awake, unable to sleep. Her heart was restless since the discovery. I feel like something is wrong, she whispered. Her best friend, sitting beside her, squeezed her hand. You are just tired. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed outside, a low whispering, a dragging noise across the ground. Amaka froze. Did you hear that? Her friend nodded slowly, fear rising in her eyes. Yes, I heard it. The whisper came again. Leave the treasure. Amaka's breath caught in her throat. Her heart began pounding. The spirit, her friend whispered, trembling. But then Amaka stood up slowly. Her fear battled with something stronger. Truth. No, she said firmly. The tree was never evil. The whisper came again, louder now. Leave the treasure or suffer. Amaka stepped toward the door, her heart racing wildly. Who is there? She called. Silence. Then suddenly, the she rushed outside. The yard was empty. No spirits, no shadows, nothing. But near the fence, she saw something. A piece of white cloth tied to a stick, moving in the wind. Amaka walked closer. Her fear slowly turned into realization. This is not spirit, she said quietly. Her friend approached slowly. Then what is it? Amaka picked up the cloth and held it tightly. Someone is trying to scare us. Her friend gasped. Who would do this? Amaka's eyes hardened. Someone who wants the treasure. Inside the shadows, far from the house, the chief and the priest watched silently. The chief clenched his fist. She is not afraid. The priest frowned. Then we try again. The next day, whispers spread across the village again. This treasure is cursed. The girl will bring misfortune. The spirits are angry. The second plan has begun. The chief stood before a group of villagers, his voice loud and convincing. Since the tree fell, strange things have started happening. The spirits are not at peace. Some villagers nodded nervously. We must question the girl, the chief continued. What if the treasure belongs to the spirits? Fear began spreading again. That evening, the king summoned Amaka. She stood before him, calm but tense. Amaka, the king said, some say this treasure may bring trouble. What do you say? Amaka swallowed, then spoke bravely. Your Majesty, nothing evil has happened. The treasure belonged to my forefathers. They hid it during the war. The tree protected it. The king watched her carefully. And you are not afraid? Amaka shook her head slowly. No, my king, truth does not fear lies. The court fell silence. The jealous chief's jaw tightened in anger. The king nodded slowly. Then, the treasure remains under your protection. The chief's hand trembled with rage. That night, he stormed into the priest's hut again. Your fear plan failed, he snapped. The priest's eyes darkened. Then we moved to the third plan. What now? The chief demanded. The priest leaned forward. Tonight, we take the treasure ourselves. Under deep darkness, they moved quietly toward the hidden place beneath the fallen tree. Their steps were low, careful, silent, and slow, but they did not know someone else was watching. Amaka. She had felt something was wrong again. With her mother and her best friend beside her, she had hidden nearby. I knew they would come, Amaka whispered. Her mother held her hand tightly. Stay calm. The chief and priest reached the spot and began digging hurriedly. Yes, yes, it is here, the chief whispered excitedly. But suddenly, stop! The king guard stepped out from the darkness. The chief froze. The priest stepped back in shock. The king himself walked forward slowly, his face stern. So this is your truth, the king said coldly. The chief fell to his knees. My king, Silence, the king commanded. Amaka stepped forward, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. They tried to steal the treasure. The village gasped. The priest lowered his head in shame. But inside, his anger only burned stronger, and deep in his heart, a final plan began forming. The night did not end in peace. Even after the chief and the priest were exposed before the king, something dark continued to grow inside them. Shame has touched them, but not enough to change their hearts. Instead, anger and envy burned hotter than ever. Inside the chief's compound, he paced like a trapped animal, his breathing heavy, his mind restless. That girl has turned the whole village against me, he muttered. First, the tree, now the treasure. Everything should have been mine. The priest sat quietly, his face cold and unreadable. You are thinking with anger again, the priest said slowly. Anger clouds the mind, but revenge requires patience. The chief stopped and looked at him. We have already failed 3 times. The priest's eyes narrowed. Then we try again. 2 more plans remain. The chief leaned closer. What is the fourth plan? The priest spoke quietly. If we cannot take the treasure by fear or by force, then we take it by turning the village against her once more. The chief's face slowly brightened with cruel interest. You mean make them believe she is dangerous again? Yes, the priest replied. Fear is powerful when repeated. The next morning, strange rumors began spreading across the village again. The treasure has disturbed the peace. Children could not sleep last night. Animals cried in the dark. The spirits are not satisfied. The chief moved from group to group, whispering carefully, planting fear like seeds in dry soil. Have you noticed how everything changed since the treasure was uncovered? He would say softly. Some villagers began to worry again. Meanwhile, Amaka sat outside her house with her mother and her best friend. The morning sun was gentle, but her heart felt heavy. I can feel it again, Amaka said quietly. Something is not right. Her best friend nodded. They will not stop. Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. Truth is stronger than lies, my child. But then a group of villagers approached slowly. Their faces were serious. One elderly man stepped forward. Amaka, we need to ask you something. Amaka stood calmly. Yes? Since the treasure came out, strange rumors are rising again, he said carefully. Amaka's heart tightened, but she did not show fear. Rumors are not truth. Another villager spoke. Are you sure the treasure is safe for the village? Amaka took a deep breath. There has been no evil, only lies. Some villagers nodded slowly, others remained uncertain, but behind the crowd, the jealous chief watched with silent frustration. Why do they still trust her? He muttered. That night, he returned again to the priest. The fourth plan is failing, he said bitterly. The priest's face hardened. Then only one plan remains. The chief leaned forward. The final plan? The priest's voice dropped to a whisper. If we cannot take the treasure from her, we make her give it to us willingly. The chief frowned. How? Deception, the priest replied. We create a situation where she believes surrounding the treasure is the only way to protect her family. The chief's eyes widened slowly. Yes, Fear for her family is stronger than fear for herself. The final plan began. The next evening, Amaka returned home and immediately sensed something was wrong. Her mother sat quietly, her face troubled. What happened? Amaka asked quickly. Her mother hesitated. The priest came today. Amaka's heart skipped. What did he want? He said the spirits are still restless. Her mother said slowly. He warned that if the treasure is not surrounded, misfortune may fall upon this house. Amaka's chest tightened. He is lying. But doubts tried to creep into her heart. Her best friend stepped forward firmly. Do not listen to fear. Amaka looked at both of them, the two people who had never left her side. What if they harm you? Amaka whispered. Her mother held her hand gently. Listen to me, Amaka. Truth does not destroy the innocent. Fear is the weapon of the guilty. Tears filled Amaka's eyes. I am afraid, she admitted softly. Her best friend hugged her tightly. We stand with you. That night, the priest and the jealous chief waited, confident their plan would work. She will surrender, the chief whispered. She must, the priest replied. But the next morning, something unexpected happened. The king summoned the entire village. The crowd gathered in silence. The king stood tall, his voice firm and clear. I have watched everything, he said. The fear, the lies, the attempts to take what does not belong to you. The jealous chief heart pounded. The priest's hand tightened. The king continued. This treasure belongs to the family of Amaka. It was hidden by their forefathers. No curse, no spirits, no evil. The crowd murmured. The king's voice grew stronger. And those who try to steal it through fear and deception have shamed themselves. The chief dropped to his knees. The priest lowered his head. The truth has defeated their final plan, but something even greater was about to happen. Something that would change the village forever. The silence that followed the king's words felt deeper than any fear the village has ever known. No one moved, no one spoke. The truth has finally risen above lies, and the weight of it pressed heavily on every heart present. Amaka stood between her mother and her best friend, her chest rising and falling slowly. Tears gathered in her eyes, not from fear this time, but from relief. Her mother squeezed her hand gently. You stood strong, she whispered. Amaka shook her head softly. We stood strong together. Her best friend smiled faintly. Truth does not walk alone. Before them, the jealous chief remained on his knees, his head bowed in shame. The pride that was once filled him had broken, replaced by regret and humiliation. Beside him, the chief priest remained silent, his face pale, his authority now empty. The king stepped forward slowly, his voice calm but powerful. Let this be remembered, he said. Fear built on lies will always fall. Greed hidden in darkness will always be exposed, and truth will always find its way into the light. The villagers listened quietly. Some lowered their heads in shame for doubting Amaka, some whispered softly in realization, some simply watched, learning. The king turned to Amaka. Child, your courage has revealed the truth. The treasure your forefathers protected remains yours. Guard it with wisdom. Amaka bowed respectfully. Thank you, my king. But inside her heart, she felt something deeper than victory. She felt growth. She felt understanding. Later that evening, the village gathered peacefully for the first time since the sacred tree has fallen. The fear that was once filled the air was gone. Children laughed again. Elders spoke calmly. Even the wind felt louder as it passed through the empty place where the tree was once stood. Amaka walked slowly towards the fallen roots, now quiet and still under the fading golden light of sunset. She stood silently, remembering everything. The fear, the digging, the accusations, the truth. Her mother approached quietly. What are you thinking, my child? Amaka looked at the roots. The tree was never our enemy, she said softly. It was a guardian. Her mother nodded. Sometimes what we fear protects us. Her best friend joined them, and sometimes what we seek changes us. Amaka smiled faintly. Yes, she said, curiosity brought me here. Fear tested me, but truth showed me the way. That night, before sleep, Amaka spoke softly to her family. I was afraid when the tree fell, she admitted. I was afraid when the village turned against me. I was afraid when they tried to scare me, but I learned something. Her younger brother listened closely. "What did you learn?" one of them asked. Amaka smiled gently. "That fear is loud, but truth is stronger. And when people who love you stand beside you, you can overcome anything." Her mother's eyes filled with quiet pride. The next morning, as the sun rose warmly over the peaceful village, the story of Amaka and the forbidden tree has already begun to spread, not as a story of curse or fear, but as a story of courage, truth, and perseverance. And from that day forward, the villagers no longer spoke of the sacred tree with fear. They spoke of it with respect as the silent guardian of hidden tree history. Because sometimes what seems forbidden hides a purpose. Sometimes what seems frightening hides protection. And sometimes truth must be uncovered, even when the world is afraid to face it. Moral lesson: curiosity is not wrong, but it must work with courage and wisdom. Fear can mislead the heart, and lies can shake the mind, but truth always prevails. When you stand for what is right, when you refuse to bow to fear, and when those people who love you stand beside you, no darkness can defeat you. Let your actions be guided not by fear, not by greed, but by truth and courage. For in the end, truth always brings peace. If this story touched your heart, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and keep believing that truth will always find its way into the light.